Have you seen the latest I'm a huge ChatGPT. I like ChatGPT. I use it a lot. I don't use it for frivolous things though, just to be very clear with you. Like I don't go, I don't enter a picture and go, make me look amazing in this picture. Like I don't do that. I use it as a tool for various things that I don't want to think about and makes me think. It thinks for me for certain things. But it's recently come out in this independent article that ChatGPT has been used for therapy and is really not good for people. It's sycophantic. So it's basically like leading people on, saying, yes, I totally agree with you. You're in the right here. And is leading to people to commit suicide sometimes.
It's crazy. I'm so glad that you brought this up because this is something that I've been thinking a lot about recently. And man, what a gear shift from our last topic. But this is a serious topic, actually.
It is.
And I think it's a really important topic, and I think it's crucially important to discuss like today, and it's only going to gain increased importance as people increasingly adopt these tools. People are using it as a replacement for therapy, and I think that there is something that's really kind of amazing about it, right? Because like it is this incredible tool, and it is quite good at what it does, and therapy can be cost prohibitive to some people, and therapy is important. We are in the midst of a mental health crisis. But the problem is that, as you alluded to, it's been well documented at this point that it has this tendency to be sycophantic, meaning it tends to validate whatever it is the user wants to hear. And this can perpetuate obsessive thinking, negative thoughts. It can reinforce doubt. And I think that that's potentially doing real harm, not just to individuals that are using it for this purpose, but also relationships. And just to throw my own sort of, it's not really very funny, but my girlfriend will occasionally, we get into fights. My girlfriend will weaponize ChatGPT against me, and it's like it's kind of funny, but it's also not. It's like she takes what it says seriously. She'll input into like what's going on in our relationship to chat, from her vantage point, from her point of view. Mm-hmm. And it basically tells her what she wants to hear. And then she'll use that to like weaponize against me. And it comes off it tends to sound very authoritative, and I just think it's like a huge problem. It's not a replacement for couples therapy. It's like not a replacement for a real licensed trained therapist or psychotherapist. Mm-hmm. So it is kind of worrying, actually. On the other hand, ChatGPT is proving to be really helpful in the setting of like clinical medicine. I mean, there was another study that was published. It was actually a study that came out of Microsoft. And Nicholas Fabiano, who's a psychiatrist who I had on the podcast recently, actually tweeted this study out, which is how I came across it, that it seems to be at least 4 times more effective for diagnostics compared to a generalist physician. And it's way cheaper, obviously. Mm-hmm. So, it's a double-edged sword. I think people really need to be mindful of that it's like fire. Fire can either burn you or cook your food. Mm-hmm. And we just have to go into it like skeptical.
Yeah.
I suppose.
I think similar to the media in the way that it shifted over the last decade, 2 decades, is that, you go to the news source and the news source is giving you its bent on the truth. And ChatGPT does the same thing, except it gives you your bent on the truth. It gives you what it thinks you want to hear. And in that way, it's like a really bad friend. And sometimes we go to our friends and we're like, we want to be told what we want to hear. We're like, oh my gosh, just had a fight with my girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. And your friend will go, oh, you're so right, babe. You're so right. He's so wrong. She's so wrong, blah, blah, blah. And that's what ChatGPT is doing. And I think that's really worrisome because I think we think that it's an objective piece of truth, whatever it says. And it's not. Number one, it can make mistakes. Sometimes I'll screenshot things and I'll go like, can you analyze this for me? And then it'll spit something out and I'm like, I'm sorry, I need to pull you up on that because it says this. And it's like, you're right, it does say that. And it's like, you're making mistakes.
Yeah.
You're not foolproof. And as well as that, it's kind of aggregating information from the internet and giving it to you as if it's the objective truth, and it's not.
No.
And so I know it's improving, and it is improving. Even that study on doctors' diagnostics, how ChatGPT was beating doctors and more effective. That was ChatGPT 4, which is what we're using now. That's the latest ChatGPT. And I hope it improves quicker.
Me too.
But also, I hope it stops. Sam Altman has come out and said like it glazes too much. That was his literal wording. It glazes too much. It's too sycophantic. It's too like agreeable and polite, and it needs to stop being that way. I asked mine to stop doing that.
Really?
When I asked it about the article, I said define sycophantic and said agreeable basically, and I was like, could you not do that with me? And it said, please, if I'm yes-manning you too much, let me know.
Wow.
Oh, okay, cool.
That's very smart. No, it definitely makes mistakes. I think you have to be uber cautious when using it to gather information in a domain on which you are not yourself an expert. I mean, you just have to be really, really cautious. I think it is way better than Wikipedia. I think Wikipedia is just a dumpster fire of ideological bias across myriad domains. So I do think it's better, but it still can be prone to error.
Yes.
And from a mental health standpoint, I mean, I think there are use cases where it can still be really helpful. I mean, if you're, and I want to be careful how I position it. I think like, if you need some sort of like support and you don't have any, I think it could be useful for that. But there have been these use cases that have gone viral where like people have expressed suicidal ideation to it, and it's like listed out the tallest bridges like in the country for people to jump. It's like, it's kind of crazy. So you just have to be like really cautious.
Yeah.
I do want to read this this paragraph from the Independent article, which is citing the Stanford study on which the article is based. The study found that the dangers involved with using AI bots for this purpose arise from their tendency to agree with users, even if what they're saying is wrong or potentially harmful. This sycophancy is an issue that OpenAI acknowledged in a May blog post, which detailed how the latest ChatGPT has become overly supportive but disingenuous, leading to the chatbot validating doubts, fueling anger, urging impulsive decisions, and reinforcing negative emotions. And this has happened in my personal life. So you just, again, word to the wise, just be careful.
Well, it also said the bots may reinforce fantasy narratives rather than challenging irrational thoughts. Fantasy narratives. That's like bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. I do think, so speaking of Microsoft, they studied some of their employees in regards to use of AI and were finding that their employees were thinking less critically because they were basically getting AI to think for them. And something I think about a lot is I talk to a lot of founders because I help certain founders make content for their brands, and they want a lot of these people are really interesting entrepreneurs, but they're not very creative when it comes to this particular thing, like creating content. So they need my help. And I'm always like, please don't use ChatGPT for this. Don't use AI for this, because if you get AI to think for you in certain ways, your brain will stop firing in this particular way. And I think that's what's going on, basically. It's like, okay, so if we emotionally are like, well, I don't know the answer to this emotionally. I can't figure it out within myself. I'm going to ask ChatGPT. What part of our brain are we then shutting off from use, from good use, like pistons firing use? And we will lose that eventually. That's what I think is dangerous.
Yeah, use it or lose it.
Right.
I think it's brilliant for, I'll use it to synthesize a bunch of information I'll use it as basically like an editor that I don't have to pay, So if I'll write my own stuff and I'll feed it into ChatGPT and I'm like, edit this for clarity, brevity, make sure it's in my voice. ChatGPT knows how I speak at this point. Like its capabilities are astounding, but it's just that when you use it for the more humanistic aspects of real life, I think that's where it falters because it's not a human.
Yes.
Like it can't feel,
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't have those mirror neurons. So I don't know.
So worrying. But I think that whatever you want to work in your brain, don't give it to ChatGPT. Don't give it to AI. Try and think about it yourself, at least first before going to it.
Yeah.
But I use ChatGPT for things like that, where I'm like editing a piece of copy or something like that I don't really feel like doing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's great for that.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. So Love Island, we got ChatGPT. We've solved that issue. Hey, if you like that video, you need to check out this one here, and I'll see you there.